the release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call.
DeepSeek R1 has burst onto the scene, sending shockwaves through Silicon Valley and leaving big tech scrambling to recalibrate. For years, companies like Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI operated under the assumption that their dominance in AI was untouchable, their billions in R&D and advanced hardware keeping competitors at bay. But the arrival of DeepSeek R1 has flipped the script, proving that China's AI innovation isn't just catching up, it's threatening to surpass. This groundbreaking AI model, developed with resourceful solutions and domestic ingenuity, exposes the vulnerabilities of the US tech industry's reliance on complacency and sanctions as strategic tools. Now, as the global AI race heats up, big tech finds itself in an unfamiliar position, playing defense against a rapidly rising challenger that refuses to be underestimated. The game-changing R1 model. DeepSeek's R1 model has redefined artificial intelligence.
What is DeepSeek? It's a Chinese research lab, right?
Yes.
But where does it come from? How's it funded?
It's primarily composed of very talented...
Shaking the foundation of the AI industry. As a 680 billion parameter model, R1 delivers state-of-the-art performance, surpassing competitors like GPT-4, Claude, and Gemini on key benchmarks. Notably, R1 excels in mathematical reasoning, a domain traditionally dominated by proprietary models optimized with preloaded answers. This underscores R1's ability to process and reason without relying on costly, resource-intensive infrastructures. One of R1's standout features is its efficiency. Unlike traditional AI systems requiring thousands of GPUs and billions of dollars, R1 was developed on a modest budget and operates on relatively affordable consumer hardware, such as Apple M2 Ultra chips. Its design challenges the high-cost business models of tech giants, redefining what it means to achieve cutting-edge performance in the AI industry. Beyond the technical feat, R1 represents a cultural and philosophical shift in AI development. DeepSeek's approach to a collaborative, open-source model has lowered the barriers to innovation, so that developers from all over the world can contribute, adapt, and build on the technology. This model is reminiscent of the open-source software revolutions of yesteryears, marking the beginning of a new movement towards democratized AI. DeepSeek's R1 model also speaks to the issue of the growing prominence of sustainability considerations in AI development. Often ignored by raw performance optimizers, real systems such as GPT-4 consume huge volumes of energy in gigantic data centers. R1 also represents a far more sustainable route to AI innovation. It can be run on consumer-grade hardware, such as the Apple M2 Ultra chip. This again reflects broader trends in the industry, where greener technology solutions become increasingly important. According to an IEA report, data centers were responsible for close to 1% of electricity demand globally in 2022. Innovations like R1 could start to reduce that footprint. This would mean, as DeepSeek's model becomes popular, it not only overcomes the financial barriers of the more traditional AI systems, but also raises the bar for how AI could be developed responsibly with a smaller ecological footprint. R1 isn't just changing the game, it's taking the world by storm. What happens when a technological marvel captures the attention of the entire world, turning heads from casual users to industry giants? Let's dive into the phenomenon that's taken the internet by storm. The viral sensation. The release of DeepSeek's R1 caused an immediate stir, transforming it into a viral sensation. Within days, R1 became the #1 app in America.
Is actually the top performing, or roughly on par with the best American.
Capturing widespread attention for its ability to outperform top-tier competitors. Social media platforms were flooded with posts praising its performance and approachable design, creating significant buzz and consumer excitement. One key factor behind R1 popularity was its ability to pass informal vibe tests, where users found its interactions intuitive and relatable. This intangible quality resonated with casual users, boosting its appeal. Interestingly, R1's inability to answer a specific question about April 15, 1989 became an online meme, turning a minor quirk into a point of humor and intrigue while showcasing the model's overall brilliance. What set R1 truly apart in public view was that it met modern AI expectations while remaining remarkably accessible. The release of this app signaled a broader cultural shift regarding how people understand, not just as some sort of abstract technological concept, but as something practical, something transformative that can be applied to everyday use. Within just a few years, R1 transcended an app. It became an icon for what AI can do to change people's lives and democratize innovation. The viral success of R1 also points to the strength of community-driven narratives in shaping public perception of technology. Social media amplified the popularity of R1 as tech enthusiasts, and casual users alike shared personal stories of how the model exceeded their expectations.
And so, as DeepSeek now roils the public markets and rises to the top of the App Store with consumers,
for example, developers praised its open-source accessibility, enabling them to integrate cutting-edge AI into projects that would have previously been cost-prohibitive. Meanwhile, teachers spoke about its utility in the classroom and shared stories of students applying R1 to creative solutions to really tough problems. This grassroots enthusiasm gave R1 an authenticity that is quite often missing from corporate-driven launches, as a tech influencer tweeted about it to the effect, "R1 feels like it's built for us, not just for profit." Organic excitement by and for users drove the momentum for R1 beyond anything a marketing campaign could achieve, solidifying its position as a groundbreaking moment in AI adoption. Big Tech's dilemma. The release of DeepSeek's R1 model has thrown the tech industry into turmoil, exposing significant vulnerabilities in the business models of major AI companies. For years, firms like OpenAI, Google, and NVIDIA operated under the assumption that state-of-the-art AI development required billions of dollars and massive GPU clusters. However, R1's affordability, developed for under $10 million, and its performance have shattered this notion, redefining the economics of AI and challenging the traditional high-cost, closed-source paradigm. This disruption has hit NVIDIA, the dominant player in the AI hardware market, particularly hard. NVIDIA has benefited from a virtual monopoly on AI training with its proprietary CUDA libraries and GPU infrastructure, which connects vast networks of chips. As a result, NVIDIA's stock has plunged, wiping out billions in market value and shaking the broader tech sector.
China and drilled down this week on DeepSeek, a mysterious hedge fund turned AI lab that has caught global attention.
Beyond hardware, R1 poses some very pointed questions about the long-term sustainability of proprietary AI systems. Companies such as OpenAI and Google, which make money off their models through expensive subscriptions, now face competition from R1's open-source and free approach. This will level the playing field for developers, making it increasingly difficult for large companies to justify premium pricing. The move toward open-source AI may force major players to change their business models, undermining the grift that has sustained their dominance. Big tech now has a choice: adapt to a more accessible AI landscape, or risk being left behind as innovation accelerates. The bigger cultural shift toward open access and transparency in technology only makes big tech's predicament worse. Developers and users alike are demanding tools and systems that favor accessibility and collaboration over exclusivity and profit. Open-source platforms like Stable Diffusion and now R1 have shown that community-driven projects can rival or even surpass proprietary systems. The cultural force behind open-source projects resembles the development of decentralized platforms in industries like blockchain, where power and control are de-emphasized in favor of individual empowerment. With this increased popularity for open access, the squeeze on big tech to reassess its tightly held, profit-maximizing strategy is further exacerbated. Additionally, the ripple effects of R1 release have sparked concern among investors and regulators, who are beginning to question the sustainability of the AI gold rush. On the regulatory front, governments around the world are starting to scrutinize monopolistic practices in the AI industry. The success of R1 could serve as a case study of how competition and open access foster technological progress, potentially influencing future policies aimed at curbing big tech's dominance. As these cultural and regulatory forces converge, the challenges faced by big tech are no longer confined to merely technological competition, but to how the industry functions altogether. Economic fallout. Wall Street and Nvidia's struggles. The release of DeepSeek's R1 has triggered significant economic shockwaves, with both Wall Street and the tech industry bearing the brunt. The affordability and open-source nature of R1 have exposed vulnerabilities in the AI ecosystem, leading to Nvidia's stock plummeting and $1 trillion+ in market value wiped from the tech sector. Nvidia, once the primary beneficiary of the AI boom, is facing a crisis as its position in the AI hardware market is being challenged by cost-effective alternatives like R1. Developers have demonstrated that R1 can run on relatively affordable consumer hardware, proving that cutting-edge AI no longer depends on Nvidia's GPUs. The broader semiconductor industry, including companies like Taiwan Semiconductor and Broadcom, has also felt the impact. These firms, which supply key components for AI hardware, are seeing declining stock values as demand shifts away from specialized high-cost chips. This reordering of the AI market is forcing investors to reconsider the long-term profitability of chip manufacturers that relied on the previous AI paradigm. The realization for Wall Street, which has invested billions in AI ventures, is that state-of-the-art models can be developed for under $10 million and run on consumer hardware signals, the end of the era of expensive proprietary AI systems. DeepSeek's R1 represents not only a technological milestone, but a wake-up call for the entire tech economy. This economic fallout underlines growing tensions between a century-old set of investment models practiced by the likes of Wall Street and innovation's disruptor element. For ages, investors pumped their money into companies like Nvidia, believing in a near monopolistic hold of proprietary AI ecosystems by those companies. DeepSeek's R1 model shows how fast things have changed central, resource-hungry models to endogenous, code-driven ones. This shift mirrors how other industries, including operating systems with Linux and data processing with Apache Spark, to name two, shifted from proprietary to open-source markets. The lesson learned by investors is simple. Innovation is not held exclusively by the deepest pocket of companies. The future of AI may come from leaner and more agile projects. It cannot be ignored that this economic shift has global implications. Countries relying on semiconductor exports, such as Taiwan and South Korea, might feel the impact as the demand for high-cost chips dwindles. On the other hand, countries investing in consumer-grade hardware and open-source software may leapfrog established tech giants. The development of R1 as a low-cost, high-performance AI model by China exemplifies how governments and smaller entities can significantly shape the future of AI. This geopolitical rebalancing might lead to more competition, thereby driving further innovation while challenging the hegemony of the traditional tech powerhouses in Silicon Valley. The economic effects of R1 are not confined to the stock market, but entail a global refocusing of priorities in technology and economics. The role of open-source AI. The release of DeepSeek's R1 model has reignited conversations about the transformative potential of open-source AI in reshaping the future of technology. Unlike proprietary systems that are locked behind paywalls and require significant financial and computational resources, R1's open-source nature has made cutting-edge AI accessible to developers and researchers worldwide. This shift challenges the long-held notion that high-performance AI must remain in the hands of large corporations with billions of dollars in funding. By releasing R1 to the public, DeepSeek has lowered the barriers to entry for innovation, democratizing a space that has traditionally been dominated by big tech. Open-source AI has always been a cornerstone for experimentation and collaboration, but R1 represents a new level of impact. Its success highlights how community-driven development can lead to groundbreaking advancements that rival or surpass proprietary systems.
DeepSeek, the Chinese artificial intelligence startup facing controversy over excessive data collection.
The open-source nature of R1 enables researchers, developers, and even smaller companies to study, modify, and improve upon the model without the constraints of restrictive licenses. This fosters a culture of collective innovation, where solutions to complex problems can be achieved more efficiently than through siloed efforts by tech giants. One of the most significant implications of open source AI is its potential to disrupt the financial motivations of major tech companies. Proprietary AI systems, such as OpenAI's GPT-4 and Google's Gemini, are heavily monetized through subscription models or enterprise licensing, often at prohibitively high costs. Open source alternatives like R1 provide comparable, if not superior, capabilities without these financial burdens. This shift erodes big tech's ability to continue to hold its position and raises questions about the long-term sustainability of their business models. Hence, the emergence of open-source AI is not only a technical movement, but also a philosophical and economic force. Perhaps the most exciting feature of open-source AI is the ability to create innovation beyond corporate boundaries. In that sense, releasing R1 as a public resource has encouraged developers to think beyond the box in terms of the applications and use cases it could be put towards, applications that may not serve the interests of big tech profit-driven priorities. It is in such freedom that one can experience breakthroughs in education, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. There are possibilities of using AI for social value rather than corporate gain. As open-source AI models like R1 push forward, they might redefine not only the technology, but also how it applies to solving some of the critical problems confronting this world. The rise of open-source AI, as seen in R1, also heralds a larger cultural shift toward openness and accountability in technology. The more AI systems are integrated into critical areas like healthcare, law, and governance, the more crucial public trust in these technologies becomes. Proprietary systems tend to operate as black boxes, where users and even experts are unsure about how decisions are made. In contrast, open-source models such as R1 would allow researchers and policymakers to audit, understand, and improve the technology to adhere to ethical standards and minimize unintended consequences. It can, in turn, be more trusted with AI systems and help to allay concerns of bias or misuse. One of the key perspectives on open-source AI is that it brings a possible end to the global digital divide. Developing countries find their way severely beset by the prohibitive costs, both of proprietary models and infrastructure for supporting those models. Open-source models like R1 allow these countries to bypass traditional leaps into development by using freely accessible tools for running on ultra-affordable hardware. For instance, an under-resourced region can use R1 to create an educational program specially designed for those areas, whereas local governments may employ it to develop resource management or disaster prediction schemes. Open-source AI has the potential to redraft the international balance of technological equity by unlocking the benefits of AI for much greater parts of society. Open-source AI is rewriting the rules, but DeepSeek didn't stop there. What's next in their arsenal of groundbreaking innovations? Let's take a closer look. Innovations beyond R1. Beyond the groundbreaking R1 model, DeepSeek has introduced another transformative innovation, Hunyuan 3D, a tool capable of generating 3D meshes and textures with remarkable ease and precision. This is a game-changer for industries that rely on 3D modeling, such as gaming, animation, and virtual reality. What makes Hunyuan 3D so revolutionary is that it eliminates the steep learning curve and time investment required to master software like Blender. For creators who have struggled for years to produce professional quality 3D assets, this technology represents a massive leap forward in accessibility and efficiency. Hunyuan 3D has the potential to significantly disrupt the creative technology landscape by enabling users with little to no experience in 3D modeling to create high-quality assets in a fraction of the time. This could democratize content creation in ways similar to what R1 has done for AI development. Small teams, independent creators, and even hobbyists can now compete with larger studios by leveraging this technology to produce professional-grade content. This shift could lead to a surge in creativity and innovation as barriers to entry for 3D asset production are dramatically reduced. What's remarkable about Hunyuan 3D and R1 is that they were side projects from DeepSeek, demonstrating that this company could develop innovative things without large budgets or infrastructure. It is such an efficiency when compared to big tech companies with huge operations and infrastructure, and how the latter's size often makes their work look impossible. This might mean that DeepSeek's philosophy in developing products social value and innovation above profit, can be the blueprint for the future of technological advancements. The implications of Hunyuan 3D extend far beyond 3D modeling itself. Its ability to generate high-quality textures and meshes could revolutionize industries like virtual production, architecture, and education. For instance, in virtual production, filmmakers can rapidly prototype and iterate on 3D environments without needing extensive resources. In architecture, professionals can quickly create detailed models of buildings and interiors, thus improving both speed and accuracy. By expanding its portfolio of innovations, DeepSeek has proven not just the reshaping of AI, but also making new articulations on how technology can enhance creativity and productivity in various disciplines. Hunyuan 3D also highlights a larger trend in technology where AI and machine learning are becoming part of creative industries that were previously dominated by manual skill and artistry. By automating complex tasks such as 3D modeling, tools like Hunyuan 3D free up creators to focus on more conceptual and strategic aspects of their work. This trend is reflected in other creative fields, such as music production and writing, where AI tools are increasingly being used for tasks like composing, editing, and brainstorming. As AI-enhanced creativity gains traction, it raises important questions about how technology will reshape the roles of human creators, pushing them toward new levels of productivity and innovation, while also challenging traditional notions of authorship and craftsmanship. Another crucial dimension of Hunyuan 3D is in cultural preservation and heritage work. Museums and research institutes can create virtual replicas of sites endangered or inaccessible, and, therefore, put them online and make them available to a world audience. This aligns with a growing movement to use AI as a tool for documenting and sharing the world's cultural heritage, ensuring that future generations have access to these invaluable resources. Hunyuan 3D opens up new possibilities for cultural preservation, extending its influence far beyond commercial applications and reinforcing its role as a transformative tool across multiple domains. OpenAI's response: operator and mini-models. Faced with the disruption caused by DeepSeek's R1 model, OpenAI has quickly pivoted to introduce new features and models to stay competitive in the rapidly evolving AI landscape. One of their most notable responses is Operator, a tool that allows AI to interact directly with the internet. The Operator enables models like ChatGPT to click buttons, fill out forms, and browse websites on behalf of users, which could transform how people interact with online services. This feature represents a significant advancement in AI functionality, as it allows models to perform complex tasks that were previously limited to manual human interaction. Operator's introduction opens up new possibilities for task automation, such as managing online workflows, filling out government or legal forms, or even attending virtual courses. For example, users could potentially have an operator handle court-appointed DUI courses or other mundane but necessary tasks. However, the feature is currently available only to $200 per month subscribers, making it inaccessible to the broader audience that might benefit most from this innovation. While Operator represents a major step forward for AI applications, its limited rollout and mixed reviews have tempered the excitement, suggesting that OpenAI's response has yet to match the accessibility and impact of R1. In addition to Operator, OpenAI has introduced the Mini model, a scaled-down version of its flagship GPT-4 model, which is now available to free-tier users. This marks a notable shift in OpenAI's strategy, as it attempts to broaden its user base by offering more accessible options. However, this move is seen as a reactive measure to counter R1's open-source accessibility and affordability. While Mini may open up access to the full power of GPT-4 for general users, in comparison with the full model, it is less competitive regarding the overall performance and flexibility of capabilities. OpenAI's efforts to remain relevant in the face of R1's disruption highlight the growing pressure on proprietary AI systems to innovate while balancing accessibility. While features like Operator signal a step toward expanding AI's practical applications, the limited accessibility and pricing structure still pose challenges in competing with DeepSeek's open-source approach. By comparison, R1's affordability and freedom to modify make it a more appealing option for developers and businesses alike. OpenAI's response, though significant, underscores the challenges of adapting to a new era of AI where openness and affordability are becoming key factors in defining success. Further to this, the potential societal implication of the capabilities of the operator brings another layer of depth to OpenAI's response. On its face, the ability of AI to fill out forms or navigate websites would radically transform how individuals interact with bureaucratic systems, healthcare, legal services, government agencies, etc. For instance, this tool would offer easier access to these services for people with disabilities or digital illiteracy. This raises important ethical considerations regarding automation, creating accessibility gaps if these powerful tools are held behind pricey subscription plans. On that note, critics have mentioned how this $200 a month OpenAI pricing can deepen inequality by locking marvelous AI features for richer users or companies and relegating larger segments to the shadows. There is also the philosophical debate as to the degree of democratization of AI capability that can be commenced with the release of Mini. While GPT-4 scaled up for free tier users, that only begins to usher in the relevancy to real-world issues into the range of elite AI experiences. Industry experts have been disputing whether limiting access to advanced AI models slows innovation. In contrast, DeepSeek's open-source R1 model offers full performance and accessibility to anyone, fostering an environment where even smaller players can develop impactful solutions. OpenAI's segmented approach risks alienating developers who might prefer an unrestricted, community-driven alternative, underscoring the tension between proprietary control and the growing cultural demand for open, collaborative technologies. A Sputnik moment for AI. The release of DeepSeek's R1 model has been widely compared to a Sputnik moment for the AI industry, a pivotal event that forces a radical reassessment of priorities and capabilities. Just as the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957 shocked the United States into accelerating its space race efforts, R1 has delivered a similar wake-up call to the global tech ecosystem. This moment underscores the fact that AI development is no longer exclusively the domain of Western tech giants like OpenAI, Google, and Nvidia. Instead, China has demonstrated its ability to leapfrog traditional leaders with innovations that challenge the status quo on a global scale.
DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries.
The comparison to Sputnik highlights how R1 has disrupted not only technology, but also the geopolitical dynamics of AI development. Much like the space race, where technological superiority symbolized national strength, AI breakthroughs are now seen as a measure of innovation and influence on the global stage. R1's development at a fraction of the cost of proprietary models and its open-source availability signal that other countries and organizations may no longer need massive resources or monopolistic control to achieve state-of-the-art results. This shifts the AI race toward a more competitive and diversified landscape. This Sputnik moment has exposed vulnerabilities in the AI strategies of the United States and Western tech companies. DeepSeek's affordable, accessible, and open-source approach has disrupted the traditional focus on proprietary, high-cost development. Much like the decade-long effort it took the US to respond to Sputnik with the Apollo program, major players in the AI industry may now face years of catching up to adapt to this new paradigm. The stakes are higher than ever, as the ability to democratize AI could determine the future of technological leadership and global influence. This is also the moment of a call to innovation and collaboration, where Sputnik inspired new investments in education, research, and technology in the 20th century. R1's success calls companies, governments, and institutions to rethink how they approach AI development. The focus may shift towards affordable, efficient, and open models that value global accessibility and social value. DeepSeek's R1 is more than a technological milestone, is also a symbol of what is possible when traditional barriers are removed to force the AI industry to recognize its limitations and chart a new path forward. Even this Sputnik moment, triggered by the R1 model developed by DeepSeek, raises profoundly complex questions about the longer-term implications for open-source innovation in international competition. Since the centralized approach taken by tech giants in the West is more resource-intensive, its success demonstrates how technological breakthroughs can emerge from smaller, more agile teams with far less funding. This decentralization would give birth to a new round of innovation among developing countries as they could engage in the international AI race, not dependent on either the infrastructure or budget that has for long been commanded by Silicon Valley. For example, emerging technology nations can use R1 as an anchor to craft region-specific AI-based solutions that focus on local needs, such as agricultural yield enhancements or urban infrastructure optimization. If R1 is the spark that ignited a revolution, what's next on the horizon for AI and beyond? The future might be closer than you think. Let's explore. Looking ahead, what comes next? The release of DeepSeek's R1 model has not only disrupted the current AI landscape, but also sparked speculation about the next wave of technological advancements. With R1 proving that cutting-edge AI can be developed affordably and made accessible through open source, the focus may now shift toward emerging technologies that could redefine industries. Among the most promising innovations on the horizon are brain chips, quantum computing, artificial meat printers, nanorobots, and digital resurrection, all of which hold transformative potential for the future. One area that is getting quite a lot of attention is the brain-computer interface, which would blur the lines between human cognition and machine intelligence. These technologies aim to create seamless connections between the human brain and AI systems, where users can directly interact and enhance their mental capabilities. Similarly, quantum computing is emerging to be a critical frontier, promising new avenues to answer questions that seem currently out of reach, even from the most potent traditional computers. Paired together with breakthroughs like R1, quantum computing may well give a further significant push to AI boundary breakthroughs in areas such as cryptography, material science, or medicine. It can reach out to innovation and transformation in industries like healthcare and food production, with nanotechnology and synthetic biology. Nanorobots could bring medicine at the level of cells into patients' cells. Artificial meat printers could create meat in different shapes and textures that could possibly end global security and sustainability questions in food supply. These technologies are in line with the overall trend of harnessing AI and automation to address complex global issues, focusing on long-term social value, a philosophy DeepSeek has already embraced in its work. Rapid advancements in technology raise questions about the methods through which society will change. The more that AI and its related advances become more prominent in everyday life, the need to balance access against ethical concerns will be higher, as well as the imperative for fair distribution. R1 has already proved that innovation can be democratized without losing quality, thus opening up a future where technology is not only for profit, but for the betterment of humanity. With these possibilities on the horizon, the next chapter of technological progress may well be defined by how effectively we can harness these innovations to address the challenges and opportunities of a rapidly changing world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the AI revolution, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more updates on game-changing tech stories. And hey, don't stop here. Click on the next video on your screen to keep exploring how innovation is reshaping the future. See you there.